Welcome to Combat Sports Talk, a podcast dedicated to UFC and Bellator discussion, the MMA community, and combat sports in general. I'm your host, Ryan Smith, and joining me this week is the entire Combat Sports Talk crew. We got John, the Keys to Victory, Keys.
What's going on, everybody? Did you know that the myth about Rice Krispies and Sprite is just that, a myth? You can actually digest Rice Krispies and drink Sprite and not have your body explode.
I always thought it was Pop Rocks and soda.
You could do it with Rice Krispies too. Okay.
Wait, so are Pop Rocks and soda still dangerous, or is that also a myth?
I believe that is a myth as well, but you know, I've never tried it because here I am.
All right.
But all kidding aside, though, do not drink Red Bull and vodka, or matter of fact, Red Bull or any type of liquor, because Red Bull digests into your system so fast, and when you have a poison like vodka in there, it really messes you up. So just FYI, college kids, quit doing that.
Legitimately drank that all weekend. You should have told me this last week.
Well, I was gonna say.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Kalechi's last podcast. Y'all might want to send your condolences, and we'll have his GoFundMe up by the end of the night.
So I want to send a shout out to Tom Rios and the pay-per-view crew that we used to go and watch all the pay-per-views. Some 10, almost 15 years ago at Buffalo Wild Wings. That is all they used to drink at the table was Red Bull and vodka. And I mean, it was like maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 rounds. It was crazy. All of them.
That you don't know how much damage you're doing to your body with that stuff. Okay.
Speaking of damage to his body, we've got Kalechi KC Onyebuchi.
Just saying, like I'm just bad built.
How are you today, sir?
Well, I was good, but now I feel like I should fight you.
No,
wow.
I don't want any of that.
Wow. Okay.
All right. And the man that KC should be fighting, George G Money Stalwart.
Don't let him like that.
Why you gotta start stuff, Ryan?
Yeah.
Edge
like that.
Yeah, why are you edging, Ryan?
Hey, listen.
He know I'm on 10 already tonight. Like I'm literally about to post some stuff, inviting people to come to the gym to fight, and then he gonna try to start something between KC and I.
No, don't do that, George. Come on, man.
Listen.
Don't go on your vigilante run, man. Don't do it.
One reason I'm coming back to that gym.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's that reason?
Well,
excuse me. The first topic. Let's start headlines.
No headlines tonight. This is the
like
headline.
A fight being started between you and Ryan.
Oh no. That's never.
I thought you meant you're coming back to train there so you can get ready for a fight with Ryan.
No, for this next gym session, I have to start training in advance so I can get my 6-pack back. And then
yeah. Well, you know, the reason why I'm trying to start some stuff with you guys is because I'm trying to be like my new hero, and that is the middleweight champion of the world in the UFC. That is Israel Adesanya, the man who is the greatest troller of all times. We'll be talking about him in this segment we like to call The Official Decision. This is The Official Decision. This is where we look at the fights that were on Saturday night. It was UFC 253, Adesanya versus Costa, Saturday, September 26, 2020, from the Flash Forum on Fight Island in Abu Dhabi. There were 5 fights on the card. Hakeem Dawodu defeated Zabira Tukhugov via unanimous decision. Tukhugov came in 5 pounds overweight. Unacceptable.
Isn't that where you say there's an advantage? Like, don't we have some rule on our show that the person who weighs more wins?
Yeah, you know, typically, but, you know, it's not absolute. And so, you know, what we have found is that something around 80% of the time, when a fighter comes in overweight, they typically win the fight. In this case, Zabira Tukagov came in 5 pounds overweight, looked great in the first round, but perhaps the weight cut was too tough, and it zapped him for the second, and he was running away for the third round, being chased by Hakeem Dawodu, and Dawodu had no nice words for him, yelling, urging him on to stop running and engage the fight.
Yeah, as he should.
In the next fight, Ketlin Vieira defeated Sijara Eubanks via unanimous decision. This was a great fight. It was a great, solid fight. The thing that we were talking about, George, is the fact that Sijara Eubanks seems like she might be too small for the bantamweight division.
Yeah, you mentioned that quite a few times, that maybe she'd be better at 125. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I had my faith in her that she would pull that fight out, man, and unfortunately she didn't. So yeah, maybe 125 is the better weight class for her. But I still think there are some things she can do at 135, and honestly, I think she should probably just float between the two.
You know,
go ahead. Okay, I was just gonna say that it was the cornrows that got it this time, because her cornrow game was tight. All right, and I was impressed. It was like Sugar Sean O'Malley tight. All right, and I was like, wow. So I knew that was gonna. Hey, don't mess with a person with tight cornrows. That's all I'm saying.
That is strange rule, but I'm here for
it. That's rule number 5.
Just saying, tight cornrow game, leave them alone. I'm telling you. It's just like whoever comes in with the softest entrance music, leave them alone.
So
okay?
Beneil should win every fight ever.
I'm just saying, man.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Ketlin did walk into like some slow 70s softcore rock or something.
That's what I'm
saying.
Like, AM rock, man. Okay, you got to leave her alone.
I'm telling you, that is the thing with man, Kelechi is now in the darkness.
That's what the Combat Sports Talk After Dark.
Yeah, Kelechi's in the witness protection program. We need to change up his voice. Got lighting problems. That is something that I noticed with a lot of the Brazilian fighters, though, is they walk in with, what I'm assuming is just the type of music you would hear in Brazil that's popular in Brazil, but it doesn't seem super intense like what we get here for fighters coming through, in the United States with maybe some rap or some rock or things like that. It just seems like top 40 music.
Doesn't sound like hype music. Yeah, it's not something that gets you hype.
Yeah, it is. It's something it's reverse psychology, though. Okay, they're trying to get in their mind, like, what kind of crazy person am I about to deal with that's coming in on Celine Dion?
But it's not Celine Dion. It's not Celine Dion. It's in Portuguese, so you can't understand what they're saying anyway.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Okay, if you're coming in on some soft Mariah Carey music, I'm leaving you alone, man. I'm gonna be like, you know what? This dude is not here. Okay, he is literally checked out, and I got crazy person in the ring with me. And all they need to do is just like when they come in the ring to pop in an Alka-Seltzer and have them foaming at the mouth while Bruce Buffer is introducing them. That'd be some dope stuff right there.
They do that on Little Giants. I don't think that's supposed to be a real thing. Next, he's gonna say, you know what the Cowboys should do? They should run the annexation of Puerto Rico.
All right.
Okay.
Kai Kara France faced off against Brandon Royval, and Brandon Royval defeated Kai Kara France via guillotine submission.
I'm sorry. What's
X on his chips?
What's Royval's
affiliation?
No, I'm talking about.
No, his nickname is Raw Dog.
Is it Raw Dog?
Raw Dog.
He's got an interesting story on how he got that name right before a fight.
How many he got?
I forget.
So when are we going to get him on the show to find out that story?
Coach, when are you planning on speaking to management? I don't even remember his management company.
Oh man.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I'll see if we can reach out to him right quick.
Brandon Royval, this is your official invitation to join us here on Combat Sports Talk.
All right. Well, but you actually did go out and get to meet with him, and you went out into a trip or whatever, and got to sit and talk to him for a little while. So what was that like?
Brandon Royval is one of these guys who, so I've trained with him at the gym a few times over the last year and a half, and I will say that dude's work ethic is just amazing. But like he goes and he goes and he goes. He's putting in his 2-a-day, 3-a-day practices. But the fact that he comes in and talks to guys who aren't on the roster, like that's the thing. It's like he's always been that dude. I knew him before the contract, and he was there to work. Like he knew that if he put together good wins, that good things would happen. And there was as he was trying to figure out what weight class to come in, like he's just like he's the kind of guy that you want as a teammate, no matter what sport you're playing, because he's doing the little things along the way, but he doesn't forget the people who are supporting him. Like he is as much a coach and supporter to others as he is receiving from his camp. So you just can't ask for a better guy who, even in the way that he wins and he celebrates, it feels more of a collective thing. Like his whole team is winning when he wins, and it's not just, hey, I'm Brandon the dude. He brings along everyone that's around him. And even so, I ran into him after not seeing him for like 6 months, and we were out at the Chatfield Reservoir, just stand-up paddleboarding. And this is a guy sees me from like 100 yards away. It's like, hey, what's going on, Kelechi? Like, you just don't see professional fighters doing stuff like that, remembering a guy who hasn't been in the gym for 6 months and still like, hey, come over here. We got another group of fighters. Let's all hang out. So I will never have anything bad to say, because I've seen that guy running outside in the snow, getting that cardio in, and at the same time just being an absolute dog in the octagon, and then the nicest guy you've ever met out and about.
Raw dog.
Well, I will never say anything bad about him, because the way he came back from getting rocked in the first round and then landed a spinning elbow as he's getting rocked again and still found a way to pull this fight out and win by a guillotine that was so tight that Cara France didn't really know what was going on. He basically was just like, okay, I'm a tap, I'm out. And that was a shocker, because Cara France came in as a significant favorite. And he's part of that city kickboxing crew down in New Zealand. They were looking to have a big night, and that put a damper on the problem.
Factory X.
Did he tap, or did the referee stop the fight? I thought.
No, he tapped. He ended up tapping. So we got viewers coming in saying that Raw Dog takes chances. He absolutely does. It was pretty funny though. Between rounds, his coach was like, "You need to stop running into that right hand," and he's like, "Yeah, I got you. I got you." So that was Brandon Royval's second fight in the UFC. Both of those fights have been spectacular finishes. He is definitely on the way up. I said that I would do this, and so I will. We're gonna blow the hype train horn for him. That's right. Well, I'm getting on that hype train.
John, are you questioning this?
I have to. Okay, so any decision I make, it has to be done in 3. If it's a big decision, I take 3 days to actually think about that decision before I make it. So I got to see him in another fight. Let me see him in another fight. Let's see how he does in that. If he's as spectacular as he was on these past 2, I'll jump on the hype train.
We're not going to count his wins all over LFA, where he was taking fights on 2 days' notice and just murdering folks.
Well, see, I have to go back and watch those, and then then I'll jump on that. I didn't see any of the LFA fights. And remember, LFA is not UFC. Bellator is not UFC. ONE FC is not UFC. Love it or hate it.
It's not UFC at this point.
Love them or hate them, the UFC changes people. Okay, it either makes them better or it makes them worse. It literally is a proving ground now.
All right. Well, speaking of proving grounds, we had 2 light heavyweights vying for a vacated title. Dominick Reyes versus Jan Blachowicz. Blachowicz defeated Dominick Reyes in the second round via TKO like he said he would.
It's like another love TKO.
Yeah. So we were all thinking, okay, well, Dominick Reyes had such a great. I'm not speak for you guys. I was thinking Dominick Reyes looked so great against John Jones. Arguably, people felt like he beat John Jones. That Jan Blachowicz, who really climbed up that ladder, not a lot of spectacular competition. The biggest name he fought was Luke Rockhold.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was really tough to say, yes, Jan Blachowicz had a great opportunity to win this belt. But if you watched him on the on the behind the scenes videos and things like that, listen to him in the in the interviews, he was always confident, he was always focused, and he was that type of champion. He was almost like a light heavyweight Stipe Miocic.
And maybe that's what it is that that up to that point, we didn't see his full potential until he actually got in that ring with Dominick Reyes and he unleashed the beast and was I didn't know he had that good of hands. Okay, and did what he did. Because this from all reports, everybody was saying that this was Dominick Reyes's crown, coronation. And apparently, John didn't get the memo. So, and I'm happy. It was a great fight. I'd love to see it again, and just see if how it goes the second time. But the point that was really telling was the fact that John Jones had words about that. It was like, how can I say? He didn't say much about Jan Blachowicz, but he had a lot to say about Dominick Reyes. And it just kind of makes me think that did he run from Dominick Reyes?
Bruh.
Bruh. I mean, seriously. Because if you're upset with somebody, if you're as cocky as John Jones, don't care what anybody think, you wouldn't have responded like that. You don't respond with venom. He responded with the utmost respect with Jan Blachowicz. But when it came to Dominick Reyes, he had none but vitriol. And I believe
be any other way though? Like,
gentlemen, you see me over here with my cup up because here we are talking about John Jones, who's not even in the light heavyweight division at the current moment.
Oh, but we're gonna talk about that too, people. All right, trust me.
So
it's news. We
your
got to
drink.
talk about it.
the
I mean,
new light heavyweight champ who people are hating on and already giving problems. Like this man, his belt ain't even 24 hours old yet already. And he's getting
I'm not
that
giving
he
him
doesn't
any
deserve
beef.
it.
I'm
I'm
not
not saying you. I'm just saying
Yeah.
people in general. There are a lot of people that feel like he doesn't deserve it. That his victory, that Dominic was damaged from the John Jones fight.
What?
I'm telling you what people are saying.
Man,
Just test the waters. Go out there and talk to him. People are saying there was a damaged Dominick Reyes after the John Jones fight.
Hey, I'm sorry. He walked in that ring 100. Hey, he walked in that ring. He made weight. When you walk in that ring, you say you are 100%.
My point to this is that
he never said that.
Jan Blachowicz. Am I pronouncing his name right, Brian?
Blockovich.
Close enough.
Blachowicz.
Jan
Blachowicz.
Yeah.
This guy has actually been in the UFC since like 2014.
Mm-hmm.
Quiet as kept. You get what I'm saying? So he is not some newcomer. He's not some up and newcomer or anything like this. This guy has been here putting in the work. He's got a couple of losses. He's lost to Thiago Santos, a couple of other folks, but he's got a couple of heads under his belt as well.
Yeah.
Lil Latifi, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
He's got a few others on down the line as well. I think he's fought Alexander Gustafsson. I think he lost to him, maybe. I'm not sure. Fought Jimmy Manuwa twice. He's got a win over Jared Cannonier.
Yeah.
So this guy is not, he's not a paper champion by no means.
No.
And I think now with that belt around him, he's only going to get better because when you put, pressure to a coal, it turns into a diamond.
So, shine bright like a diamond.
Well, and the thing about Jan Blachowicz is that he also, like I said before, has a great camp around him, and the whole time under all of this pressure, with all the little slights and things that they were giving him, he took that all in stride, came out there and said, it's going to go 2 rounds and then it's going to be over. And when you look at Dominick Reyes after that fight, Dominick Reyes' nose is visiting his ear, and he's holding ground beef under his arm because his ribs are all torn up. Like it was damage in a hurry with Jan Blachowicz, and I'm excited to see what he can do next. So Dana White has already said that Glover Teixeira and Thiago Santos are fighting very soon. The winner of that fight, well, if Thiago Santos wins that fight, then he will be the next fighter to face Jan Blachowicz in Blachowicz' first title defense. So you're going to get to see them run that back, Jan Blachowicz versus Thiago Santos, if Santos can get past Glover Teixeira. But the great thing about Blachowicz is that he ain't going to run from anybody. He's going to take all comers because he was like, I'll take Glover Teixeira if Teixeira wins. He wants to fight whoever.
And that's how a champion should be. And just a side note, in the last 9 fights, he only lost 1, and he only lost it to Thiago Santos.
So,
just FYI.
So I'm very impressed by him. I mean, he's like
well,
he. Go ahead.
I was going to say another interesting fact, since we were just talking to the fact checker over there, is that both of the guys that he's had rematches with, he lost the first and then won the second. Corey Anderson, and there was one other one he lost to Jimmy Manawa. Mm-hmm. So he lost the first one to both of them, came back and beat them in the second.
And it's interesting that those 2 fights were back-to-back. Those 2 losses were back-to-back to Corey Anderson and Jimmy Manawa. And then he came back and adjusted his game like a true champion should and beat them. That you can't ask for much more out of it.
Well,
so my hats off is to John for pulling it out. Even though I had my boy Dominick Reyes winning that, but man, some days you just don't get it.
I feel like I told you guys that John was going to win this.
Oh my god.
Well, I may have to go back and
go
search
back and
that
look
one.
at the recap on that. I think y'all will hear.
Yeah, Coach.
We can find that record.
Is that crow button broken? I think that crow button's broken tonight. I think it is. So.
Yeah. The crow button may be broken. We may have to play that next week. I actually want to let the record show that Coach called Jan Blachowicz in this fight, because I don't remember him calling Jan Blachowicz.
Really don't. There was a point of contention with us on the last show, but I'll go back and I'll rewatch the show and see if I can find the clip for you guys.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Well, that brings us to the main event of the evening: Israel Adesanya versus Paulo Costa. Israel Adesanya defeated Paulo Costa via TKO in round number 2. It really wasn't close. Everything that Paulo Costa threw either missed or was checked or was caught. Nothing. There was not a moment in time where Israel Adesanya looked like he was in danger, and he looked like the champion that we always said he was. I mean, he said it was going to be easy work, and it really looked like it was easy work for him.
Yeah, anybody that sat there and said that Israel was washed up because of the Yoel Romero fight, or if they said that he wasn't good enough or anything like that, please eat a fat one, eat a fat sloppy one. As a matter of fact, because
wow,
all I can say is that night he absolutely dismantled any type of plan that Paulo Costa or his corner or his Buela at home had waiting for him for Israel. He broke him. He broke him down. He mocked him, and then he beat him.
Well, he sure did. What do you think? What do you think about it, George?
So what had happened was, I feel like.
What are y'all laughing? What are y'all laughing about?
I'm really interested in this too.
Okay. Well, all right. I was getting ready. I was Kalechi told us some information about what he didn't do on Saturday night, and I was getting ready to throw it to him, and then I realized that would not be beneficial to the conversation. So I was like,
your thought process was like, thank you.
So I'm kind of curious now.
For the fans who are listening, Kalechi didn't watch the fights on Saturday night. So I'm getting ready to say, so what'd you think about the fight, Kalechi? And I'm like, what'd you think about the fight, George?
So anyway, back to it. Casey, I'm saving you on this. Well, not really, because he done outed you. But what had happened was, I feel like Costa didn't follow the game plan that he should have. One, he did have some success when he pushed Izzy up against the cage.
Right.
That's where he would have had continued success. Two, I think he should have went ahead and tested Izzy's ground game. He didn't. I think Izzy already had the counter for that. I think they game planned really well for Acosta. The minute I think Acosta would have tried to take Izzy down, you would have seen the knees come into play. We talked about that all on our chat line. You know, what was it? Kneecap sandwiches and things like that. So yeah. I think there were several opportunities that Paula didn't take advantage of. And now in retrospect, like I said, I've heard at least 2 interview clips where he's made mention of, hey guys, not to make an excuse, but you know, there were some things that happened. And it was probably related to the weight cut. I don't know. We talked about that part as well already, where I think KC says, hey, Paula didn't look as big as Izzy. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I can recognize that some people are seeing that, and there are some factors at play here that we probably don't know about. But all in all, I think that was a clinic put on by Izzy, and I can't wait to see the next one, man. Israel Adesanya has really made his mark in the UFC, and I'm really excited to see where he goes next with this. And there's only even better matchup. There's all these better matchups out there for him now. Jared Cannonier is the next one in line, and I think that's going to be a real test for Izzy.
Yeah. I do believe that when it comes to Paulo Costa, I mean, he literally took his leg. He was taking his leg out from under him. If you saw, I mean, the kicks were devastating. I mean, he made his leg bleed from the kicks. And I'm like, okay, that's the end of your leg. You've got no tackle power. You have no striking power, really, if you're gonna try anything against Israel. Secondly, let's not talk about injuries, because something was going on with Israel's right pec. I couldn't understand it. I mean, it looked like it was torn, and it looked like it was torn because, I mean, if you take your shirt off, and I don't suggest anybody on this pod, let's not. This is not OnlyFans, okay? We'll do that later on OnlyFans, but
sure you don't want my shirt off?
Yeah, positive. Okay.
I was gonna say I have a torn pec.
Really?
Yes.
I'm kind of curious now.
Pixar didn't happen.
I could honestly say I can see why his chest might look like that from a torn pec.
Yeah.
Still, his was more nipple droop than like per se mine, but there is a pronounced deformity right here on the side of my pec as a result of it being torn, and it kind of does look like a little drop. And if you notice, both of his, not that I was looking at his titties, but both of his breasts were not.
Can we say that?
We have now. We have now.
All right. Okay.
It's not a curse word.
It's good. It's good. Keep going.
Okay. All right. Anyway, back to it. So both of his breasts did not look the same. Typically, in guys who have gyno, you see both breasts drooping. That's not what you saw with Izzy. You saw one breast out of shape compared to the other. So I'm not convinced that this was as a result of PED use.
Oh yeah.
I've got to wonder what this means for Paulo Costa, because far too often, once one fighter figures out your game plan, unless you can adjust, you're in the rubbish bin. So I've got to wonder. I think Izzy has been saying it from the start, from the moment that he said he's got to fight this overinflated balloon. Like, the key to beating Paulo was to just not be a punching bag standing in front of him. And taking out that lead leg does exactly that. And we know that there's a lot more agile and mobile fighters who aren't going to be standing and banging as the division continues to evolve and change. And is he leading the way? So is this the start of the Paulo decline, or do you think that he's got the skill set to adjust?
He's got the skill set to adjust. I think what it was, in my opinion, is that he got hit a couple of times, and he was fine the first couple of times he got hit, but then he got hit so hard in the jaw that you saw that poker face get real pokerish. Like he went zombie, and I'm like, okay, you just got hit, and you're not making any more jokes about that. That tells me one thing: you're now gonna respect his power, and that's what it was. He got, I won't say scared, but he got a healthy dose of respect out of his power, and I think he didn't want any more of that.
I have to wonder though, like people talked about the precision striking of Izzy versus the power striking of Paulo, but I think the UFC showed in the lead up to it that actually Izzy has more knockouts than Paulo, and Paulo actually had more significant strikes. So is it just as this misnomer that Paulo is this huge power puncher, because we've seen people being able to absorb those chin shots from him? And so what does he have to do to become a different fighter? Because it can't be all strength now. People know how to avoid that.
Well, I think it's what George was saying, right? George was saying Paulo Costa is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. When was the last time you saw him grapple? Dude headhunts. He comes forward, headhunts, and tries to knock you out. Very rarely do you see him trying to submit someone. I mean, it's the Roy Nelson.
Oh, look at that! Yeah,
yeah, it's the Roy Nelson strategy. It's so much easier and better on your gas tank if you could just knock them out in the first round. Sitting there, getting on the ground and grappling with somebody takes a lot of gas, and it doesn't seem like Paulo Costa is someone who wants to invest in that because it takes a lot of work.
He doesn't really have a gas tank either. When you carry around that much muscle, you're not going to have a gas tank.
Well, then explain Rickson Gracie.
Casey said, I know it. Hold on, I just want to hear Casey say this.
What was that?
Lesson in a curse. What can I say? All these
muscles. But see, explain Rickson Gracie, because Rickson Gracie was he was a ripped warrior, and he would beat the crap out of these guys for a good while, and then he would choke them out.
Easy.
So what's that?
He's an exception. You know, that's the thing. There's just because there's one guy who carries around a lot of muscle and has a gas tank doesn't mean that everybody who carries around a lot of muscle has gas tanks. We know for a fact, we've seen enough fights now to know that all of these guys that walk in with all of this muscle, the moment those muscles start filling with blood, they get heavy. These fighters slow down. Their gas tanks go out. If you've got one guy who can do that, great. But the fact is...
And I would challenge you to go back and look at Rickson's fights and really observe whether or not he was having to use his gas tank or not. You kind of said it a second ago. You like he would beat these guys up and then choke them out. So what you're saying was he wasn't grappling for the most part. He was striking and then went to grappling.
You know what? You're absolutely right. Because nobody really wanted to get on the ground with Rickson because they knew what that was going to entail. All right. And on top of that, Rickson was that rare specimen that can knock you out. And this is talking about in the early days of MMA, that he could knock you out and he could submit you with just as much ease as one as the other. And that was a scary combination. But I mean, talking about the whole muscular body versus the fit body, I brought up the devil's advocate, but then I'm in the back of my mind, I'm thinking Mark the Hammer Coleman, Kevin Randleman, Brock Lesnar, even to a degree. Let's see here, Paul Varlins, Dan Severn. These guys were big, muscular wrestling guys that couldn't make it to a second or third round if they could. Mark Coleman being the Mark the Hammer Coleman being the quintessential guy.
Well,
that he couldn't. That after the second round, he was dead.
Well, his fight against Brock Lesnar was a classic case of that. He beat Brock Lesnar in the first round from pillar to post, and Brock Lesnar ended up choking him out in the second round. Both of them were laying out on the ground, gassed out, because neither one of them had the gas tank to make it to the third round. Had they both made it to the third round, it might have been a double knockout, and we would have vacated the title. But I don't want to just talk about. I just don't want to talk about what happened in the ring, because what makes Israel Adesanya so interesting is all of the other stuff that surrounds him and how well he handles the trash talk and how well he handles the mic and the interviews and the fans and all of that stuff as well.
Well, how many fights does this man has? He has like 175 total combat fights, and I think he posted up he had 100 combat wins.
I like how John just doubled that number, boy.
Yeah,
he's got 107 fights. He's got like 75 kickboxing fights. He's like 75-5 in kickboxing. He's like 19-0 in MMA, and he's got like 5 boxing matches. He's got like 1 loss in boxing.
Yeah, his official record.
He's right at 100 fights.
His combat record is 100 wins, 7 losses.
Okay, so he had 107 fights total. My bad, but still 100 fights. This man has been there, done that. All right.
What's interesting to me is his promo style, right? So his first couple of fights in the UFC, he didn't get these big signature wins. Like, he definitely beat his opponent down, but didn't knock him out. And so he kind of does this, I'll do better, I promise, guys, there's more I want to show you. So he was really humble at the start of how he talked in the octagon and the post-fight interview, but it really changed as he stepped up his social media game, which is strange how some people are saying that, oh, he should take some lessons from Chael Sonnen. But I think that what he does is wholly different from Chael in that he backs it up first, and then he gets very specific about, like, look, I told you this, and I executed. And then he's not really talking trash about the next opponent. He's just focused on, look, I'm living my life, and you guys are hating on it. Like, I'm out here just dancing and whatnot, and you guys, you're following me, so are you really haters? So that's what I like about Izzy. It's like, he's not following a rule book. He's creating a rule book saying, like, this is who I am authentically, and I'm not going to let the UFC shape how I interact with the fans.
I like the fact that his interests are more broad. I mean, he talks about, how much he loves anime and things like that. But then the dude posts on Instagram or whatever, him having his hair dyed pink.
Yeah.
Like, name a fighter who dyes his hair pink and then comes into the ring and like some of them some of these fighters do it.
The dude who beat Kimbo Slice,
Seth Petrozelli.
There was one other guy who had pink hair for a bit.
I'll give you somebody closer to
Chris Lieben, right?
day.
Used to
Sean O'Malley.
Okay, yeah, Sean O'Malley is Sean O'Malley's another one. But and Chris Lieben, of course, had the famous, I don't know what he was got like Dennis Rodman kind of hair. But but the thing is it was an interesting thing because I was telling George, I was like, I wish that Israel Adesanya would have worn the pink hair into the ring and fought with pink hair. And they asked him about that in the post-fight press conference or in the post-fight interview, and he said that my dad, who he called Adesanya, told him that you're gonna throw the jab, you're gonna blind Paulo Costa. He's not gonna be able to see, and if you've got pink hair, he'll be able to focus on that pink blob, and he'll still be able to see you. So change your hair color, go back to black, and he won't be able to see you whenever you're doing damage to his vision. And he's like, "That's a great idea." I love that story.
Went to the elders. They
Now,
say a word is enough for the wise. Now, wow.
The other thing that we haven't talked about yet is what happened after he threw the left hook, dropped Paulo Costa, went in for the finish. Israel Adesanya made a lewd gesture on the downed body of Paulo Costa, which the whole world saw, and it played on replay, and Paulo Costa has now seen it, and he does not feel like that was an appropriate gesture for the moment in the fight. I like me talking around that one.
That was pretty well played, sir. Your verbal footwork was dynamic, sir.
It never ceases to amaze me how fighters who talk all this smack before a fight and then they take that butt whooping. I almost said the other word, but I didn't want Ryan to have to work all night. They take that butt whooping, and then when somebody talks a little smack back to them after that butt whooping, now they got a problem with the way things were done. Now all of a sudden he's calling Izzy human trash and things like that. Where was that talk when you were calling him a monkey? Where was that talk when you know what I'm saying? Like, don't try to be holier than thou now. Like Izzy did something wrong. No, you've been disrespectful to this man ever since this fight's been announced, and now all of a sudden you want him to be humble and honorable in his win, in his victory. So I don't know, man. I take offense to that. Like you can't treat me like trash and then expect me to be nice to you after I give you that humble pie.
No, you know what? Hey, I'm not even upset with a guy that lost. Okay, you mad? You got dealt with on a personal basis, and you mad because how you got dealt with. You got it. Hey, you talked it up. Take your L like everybody else, and take your L extra salty with a hint of lemon. All right, because you did it. You did this to yourself. If you came to him humble, if you came to him respectful, he would have came to you respectful. No, you chose to try to play to get in his head, and instead, Izzy owes you rent money for sitting in your head. I mean, is he paying with US dollars or is he paying with the Brazilian real? That's what I want to know.
Yeah. Well, I want to wrap this part up. There's two more things that I want to talk about with Izzy before we go. One of them, it came in the post-fight interview as well. He says, "I dedicate this fight to anyone, be it at school or at home or even at work. If your boss is grinding you, I dedicate this fight to you guys because you have to fight back. You can't just take it all the time. You have to bite back." And I really thought that was inspiration. Coming from the champ, and just saying that sometimes you can take it, sometimes you can turn the other cheek, but sometimes you just run out of cheek.
Well, even Buddha said, every now and then you gotta put a little foot to butt. So
is that what he said? Is that what he said?
Yeah, I think that there's a famous Nigerian rapper who may be able to sum this up for us. What would you say, Kelechi?
In the words of Tobicheku, I messed that up. My bad, y'all.
Wow.
Yo, I felt so. You know what? In the words of Toby,
wow. What was that?
Anyway, try Jesus, not me, because I throw hands. What's funny though is like Toby actually is like really cool with Adesanya and Usman, the other two Nigerian champions. So like just seeing that kinship that kind of happens there as their shared experiences kind of come out. Like I'm a fan of the music that could happen. Like, could you imagine having Toby do the walkout music for Adesanya? Oh my gosh.
Well, I don't feel like we should be trying to mix rappers and MMA fighters.
Hold on.
Down
okay,
and strike.
let's talk about that for
How the roof beat up and rob me. Can't nobody stop me. Kobe ain't gonna do nothing. Ain't gonna
do
okay.
nothing. The part is even if he won that song.
I mean, you can have a rapper do your walkout. You, as a fighter, cannot do the walkout. Okay, you cannot do your own walkout music. You just can't do that. Outsource.
Ask Roy Jones about that.
Outsource, Roy Jones. We heard your stuff too. Okay.
Roy's stuff was hitting now.
Or Kobe.
I got Roy on my playlist at the gym right now.
I don't know.
I'm just saying.
Kimbo Slice was smart enough to outsource. Let's just say it like that.
So the last thing I want to talk about with Israel Adesanya is what happened in the ring immediately after he won the fight. He goes over to Dana White and he's in Dana White's face and he is, not yelling, but speaking very firmly to Dana White. They asked him in the post-fight press conference what he was talking to Dana White about, and it was really about fighters missing weight. Zabira Tukakov, of course, we talked about, but also one of his teammates from City Kickboxing had to fight a fighter who didn't make weight, and that fighter, he specifically called out Zabira Tukakov in that once Tukakov missed weight by 5 pounds, which is egregious for professional fighters.
Right.
He just said, you know what, take 30% of my purse, and he started hydrating rather than using the 90 minutes to make the weight. And so what Israel Adesanya said is 30% of the purse is not enough deterrent for fighters to miss weight. He says it needs to be 80 to 90% in order for fighters to take weight cutting seriously, because if you ended up doing all that training for nothing and then you got to go out and take that butt whipping, you're going to get serious about making your weight every time you show up.
Agreed.
Yeah, I say start at, if they miss their weight by between 1 to 3 pounds, go ahead and take half their pay. After that, yeah, give me 80. I want 80%.
What do you do for like punishments?
I like that look John Keith had. Yeah, I want 80. I want 80%.
I want 80.
Like the head nod. I'm sorry, Casey. Go ahead, man.
Well, I think there's already that rule, right? There's within a certain threshold, you can't truly fight for the title. Like you can win, but you can't fight for the title. What if we just take away the fact that you can win? Like it's just a no contest.
But then you're hurting the other fighter.
Yeah, fighter pay comes into. Well, if there were contracts with guaranteed money.
And see, I mean, let's talk about this cutting the pay, because I mean they should institute that for a lot of rules. Because in Pride, one of the beautiful things I loved about Pride, other than the stomps and the soccer kicks and the 12-6 elbows and all that beautiful stuff that made it so gloriously violent, yellow cards, red cards. Yellow cards took was 10%. Red cards were 25. And those were fouls. You get 2 red cards, and that's a disqualification. Now, when I say fouls, that include groin kicks, pokes in the eyes, and everything like that. And guess how many eye pokes there really were in Pride? Very few.
Interesting. That is pretty interesting.
And on top of that, the Pride gloves were specifically designed to keep your hands curled in. They weren't like the UFC gloves that are still like not as curled. They actually curled them in. That's one of the things that when UFC bought Pride, they should have kept. They should have kept those gloves.
Grappling.
They still grapple. Oh, Pride was grapple heavy. Come on now. Okay, they love their grapple. They actually appreciated the grappling in Pride more so than they did in the UFC. So it was designed to grapple too, but it was the point that they curled it enough where you wouldn't be trying to do a Three Stooges maneuver there.
I'm here for it then.
Yeah. So reinstitute the cards. Start chopping up some pay, and give me that 80% when you go 5 pounds over.
But the problem is that while that was a very good conversation to have, it's Israel having this post fight. It's not going to go anywhere. Like the fighters really have power.
That's because it's the commission that holds it. It's not because Dana White immediately shuffled that, he punted that over to the commission. Like, I have nothing to do with that. That's the commission talking.
But the good thing about it was Izzy put the conversation out in the fans' world.
Yes. And here we are.
That's why I think he went at it the moment he did. That he took the opportunity to voice it right then.
And now here we are on Monday night talking about
discussing about it. Yeah.
Yeah, if only they had a fighters union or something.
Here we are, and there it is. do we drink on fighters union? Do we drink?
Yeah, we do drink on fighters union. Hey, by the way, I just want to let you guys know that the button is working, y'all.
Is that crow posthumously for Jan Blachowicz's win?
Yeah. Yes. So
go back and announce this.
So I just went back and listened to episode 140 or 141. And I listened to George G Money's pick. Everybody except for him was on Dominick Reyes. He said he was going to go with the Hangman because remember we talked about Jan Blachowicz carries a noose that had been previously used by a body for good luck. Dude rubbed his magic noose and won this fight, dude. Like, is what?
That was so close to you had to cut that whole segment off right there. But yeah, on the Blair Witch side of the game, yeah, he did that and he actually got it. So yeah.
He says it's like 90% accurate. So, dude.
Who are we to fight with the supernatural now? I mean, you know.
Definitely not me.
I'll tell you what, being back on Jan though, I have to say, man, I was really impressed with his striking.
For a man that's grapple heavy, he was striking hard.
Dude, he looked like a kickboxer.
Mm-hmm.
There is more evolution, man. I'm telling you, the evolution is real. Okay, these fighters are slowly evolving away from their strict disciplines and becoming more of an MMA fighter. Even the ones that start off with wrestling. There, what is going on here? What?
KC thought you were making a gender reference or
I going down the what do you call the X-Men reference?
Oh,
X-Men reference. I will
then I was thinking, it was either X-Men or Stylebender. What do you call that? Avatar.
Yeah.
Is that called?
Avatar: The Last
I don't know.
Yeah.
Avatar: The
I
Last
just assumed we were in for our leaving reality trails. I was just interested to see which one. The most loving one.
All right. Okay.
Let's go ahead and leave this segment and go into the finding the angles. And finish. I didn't want to finish the recap of UFC 253 without talking about one person who has been fighting since 2005, and that is the Nightmare, the Dream, Lionheart, Diego Sanchez.
15 years in the game, strong.
And so this guy started off at the Ultimate Fighter 1, came and took on the best of the best throughout his career in the UFC, has some of the greatest matchups, Clay Guida being one of the ones that are in the UFC Hall of Fame for one of the greatest fights of all time. He fought on this card in the prelims against Jake Matthews, and Jake Matthews really showed how big a difference these new fighters are coming up versus kind of that old guard. We always herald the changing of the guard in the UFC, and this is one of those times where the old guard, the last of the few and the proud who are still fighting in the UFC, are starting to go, they're starting to show their age and their wear. Dana White says that he thinks he needs to have, says that he needs to think about Diego Sanchez's future after UFC 253. He also mentioned Colby Cowboy Cerrone in his statements as well, that these are two fighters that have been in the UFC for a very long time, fighting lots and lots of fights, that they're starting to get on the end of their careers. It's time to start thinking about whether or not he needs to have that talk with them.
Legends League. Legends League. Legends League.
Yeah.
Dude, honestly, I'd like to see Diego with some better match. I see no CT involved. Don't get me wrong. Do some real matchmaking with guys like this. You know what I'm saying? Quit tossing these guys out here to these young, hungry wolves. Put together a Legends League division or whatever you want to call it, and let some of these guys who are, past their prime but still able to train appropriately, come to a fight uninjured, and able to put in a little bit of work, let them come do it. Yeah. And find some ways to make it maybe a little bit safer for them.
Do you think pride will get in the way of people actually doing that, though?
It's either that or stop fighting.
Think about it. This is 2020, and we're finna go watch a Mike Tyson fight in 2 months. Mike ain't fought in 15 years. And I guarantee you, every one of us will pay for that pay-per-view.
Yep.
I mean, I'm gonna go over to one of your houses to watch it, but yeah, I'm cheap.
I'm just saying there is a demand for these types of fights. It's out there, man, and people will pay.
I just like, oh, for sure, I would pay. Like I said, there's some Woodley fights I still want to see. I would for sure watch that. My problem though is like guys who now realize they're in a separate Legends League. Like it takes a long time to actually realize that the game has passed you by.
I don't.
But I think I'm sorry, George. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
All I can do is speak from experience, man. I know there are guys out there, you know, in my gym even who could beat my tail. I don't have that doubt. You get what I'm saying? I know where I'm at, no matter what. And I honestly believe that some of these fights, we talk a good game. Oh, nobody's ever going to beat me. I'm walking through anybody that comes through me. But deep down, you know where you really stand on a lot of things. Anybody who's training in the gym and has sparring sessions, you know where you stand in your gym. You know where you stand in life when it comes to that. There's no equivocation on that. You might feel good on certain days, but you know whether or not you're ready to stand up to the competition at its best.
Exactly. Because that's why I talk all my smack.
Own it. Go ahead, Ryan. I felt something coming there.
I said that's right, because that's why I talk all my smack to Kelechi while his tail is still in Denver.
But seriously, though, I mean, and on top of that, we got fighters there that I would qualify for the mass division that still have some bitter rivalries. You know, so I know that they would be down to fight those rivalries one more time. You think Vanderlei wouldn't fight Rampage one more time? You think he wouldn't? You think Vanderlei wouldn't fight anybody one more time? I mean, he's crazy, but he game.
So can we talk about? Yeah. So I think you're right. First, I wonder what happens with weight divisions in a Masters league, because the weight cuts are still just brutal and they don't get easier as you get older. I think everyone just gets
no need for weight cut.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm going Anakin Skywalker on you.
Weight classes are not necessary.
He's 185 pounds.
Yeah. Open weight, juice to the gills. Let them do what they do. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, the views expressed by John, the keys to victory, are not shared, owned, or endorsed by Ryan Smith, Casey Onyebuchi, or George Stallworth, or Combat Sports Talk.
You know what? I
Thank
don't
you,
care
sir.
what y'all say. I don't care. Y'all know.
I need that as a drop. I'm gonna make that as a drop.
Y'all know that y'all want to see that. Okay, y'all want to see. I mean, say what you will. Open weight. I'm not asking for one night tournaments anymore. All right, because you know, fighting 3 people in one night is brutal. All right, but we can at least do open weight. All right, we can at least do open weight.
I kind of like those all in one night tournaments. Those are still happening, local regional events, and it's amazing.
Coming up here pretty soon, next weekend, as a matter of fact.
What's this?
Fury Kickboxing here in Fort Worth, Dallas, Texas. It's basically a tournament, and from what I understand, there's quite a few people going to be participating. So it looks like, you know, most of these fighters are going to get at least two fights.
I love that.
Wow.
I like what I hear.
So let's go ahead and close the book on this one, put it on the shelf, because this card is history, and move into something that happened after the card in the post-fight press conference with the president himself, Dana White, and the fact that he is currently beefing with Conor McGregor.
Whoa.
See, y'all didn't watch the post-fight press conference, so they're asking.
No, I'm gonna tell you how. This is why I know I need to be in the Legends League, because I misheard what you said. I thought you said President Trump was beefing with Conor McGregor.
No.
Adjust the
No.
volume there on your left ear, sir. I'm just saying.
Yeah, Dana White and Conor McGregor are currently beefing. And this all stemmed from the announcement that happened this week as well, that Conor McGregor is going to be fighting Manny Pacquiao sometime in 2021.
Oh Lord.
Which is big news. That is huge news.
It is, but come on, man. You already done got beat by the one. You're gonna get beat by the other, really?
Wait, did we play the music yet?
Which
Which
one?
music?
Segment?
Yeah, we played it.
Yeah, you played it.
Well, I just didn't want to overrun that segment. I didn't have my monitor in.
Okay.
Anyway, I just feel like this is another money run that we know that Conor's not a legit boxer. So why are we throwing more money his way?
Well, this one actually has a chance to be a little bit more competitive in the sense that Manny Pacquiao's never really fought above 147. Conor McGregor hadn't been fought at 145 in 4 years?
Something like that, yeah.
Right. So this is going to be interesting to see where they decide on this weight class at. And I think, depending on if Manny Pacquiao decides to draw him down closer to that 145 range,
mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
Remember, McGregor won the first belt at featherweight.
Yeah.
So, and that's a lot of power he's going to be packing.
But he hasn't fought at featherweight in how long?
Yeah, true. He had a couple of 100 million reasons why not to do that.
And Manny Pacquiao,
it would be advantageous for him to get Manny to come up in weight. And I think that would make it a much more competitive fight in some senses, but I don't know.
Well,
and Manny's a little, longer than Ryan, I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off.
No,
every time you reach into the mic and then I go to Manny's a little longer than tooth though, isn't he? How old is Manny now?
80.
Is he a senator? What is he again?
He is a senator. He's 41 years old. 41 years old.
He's not. He is not younger than us. Okay.
He's 41 years old.
Oh,
Manny Pacquiao is 41 years old.
Don't be snitching on my age. I'm still trying to fight. Don't be giving guys the one up on me.
Okay, so yeah, he is only 41 years old. Look at him. Oh.
Yeah.
Little kid.
So let's speed this up. Because what I want to get to is the fact that Conor McGregor announced this, and they asked Dana White about it, and Dana White was like, "Listen, this dude is retired," and and Conor McGregor is like, "Listen, I tried to fight in the UFC after I beat Cowboy Cerrone. I told Dana White that I wanted to fight again right away, and Dana White didn't schedule the fight. Of course, Dana White's like, no, Conor McGregor had opportunities to fight, but he didn't want to fight. So Conor McGregor showed the DMs.
Good.
So after UFC 253, Dana White is like, listen, everybody knows that you don't, it's man code stuff. You don't show the DMs.
You don't talk about your fighters either, though.
You don't talk about what it is that we're what we're talking about. You don't show people, So I wanted to get your sense.
Stop lying, Dana White.
So yeah, where do you feel? Do you feel Conor McGregor should have showed the DMs? Do you think he should have? That was a line that shouldn't have been crossed.
No, I think he pulled Dana's skirt up, and rightfully so.
Well,
different analogy.
I mean, it's like this. If Dana was on the up and up, if he was being honest, and then Conor would throw out the DMs like that, then that's one thing, okay? But if you're lying and he's challenging you to show some receipts, come with the receipts.
Show your tax returns.
There you go.
Oh wow.
All of the tax returns.
So,
okay?
but here's the thing, right? Let's go back to the receipts analogy. you can show the receipts, but sometimes the receipts have other things on them that need to be redacted.
Oops.
Not
No.
his
Don't-
problem.
Yeah,
One,
Tell the truth.
when you called that man a liar, when you said that Conor McGregor was not speaking truthfully about whatever it was, you exposed yourself to be outed right then.
Mm-hmm.
and
It's
whatever-
no different. You remember Dana is famous for doing this. He did the same
Yep.
thing to John Jones. He's done the same thing to several other fighters in this league who've had
Recently.
issues when fighting or not taking fights allegedly when he's offered them. And I think they talked about it. In this case, they're hoping that one of the Fertitta brothers will come back in and smooth the relationship over with Conor, and they'll get get things back on track. This is not the first time that Dana and Conor have actually had words and not been in a friendly zone with each other. So
Yeah, that was the reason why he retired the first time. Was because they had a spat. But what was in the DMs? Was it like he got outed as an Eskimo brother or something like that?
No. So
ooh,
what was in the DMs?
Doug, play Ryan. We need to drop the conspiracy theory drop. Just outing Dana White. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
What was in the DMs mainly was Conor was like, well, let me fight Diego Sanchez, and Dana White responds and says, listen, they would yank our promoter's license if we scheduled you to fight Diego Sanchez, but it's a disparaging remark to Diego Sanchez saying you would whoop Diego Sanchez. So those conversations about how Dana White actually perceives his other fighters in this kind of context is one that probably he would have wanted to keep under wraps, right?
And you don't put
There's
stuff
another
like that
solution.
in text.
Thank you.
Everybody knows that. But there's another solution to this. Actually having a ladder that matters so that there's no question of calling out fights. The fights are just based on ranking.
Well, no, because Conor McGregor is not a fighter that fights ranked people. He's a guy right now that's looking for big money fights and willing to give big money fights.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the problem with the UFC's current strategy. If you just go down the line, you don't have to worry about hidden text messages. Or even beyond that, you skip this whole step by having a president of the UFC that is trustworthy and doesn't speak against his own fighters.
Mm.
Well, to add insult to injury, Conor McGregor reached out to Dustin Poirier and offered him a fight because you know that Dustin Poirier wasn't happy with the UFC because they wouldn't pay him for the Tony Ferguson fight. And then, Michael Chandler comes in and then they wanted him to fight that, but he's like, that wouldn't be fair to Tony Ferguson. So Conor McGregor offers a charity fight that he would put up $500K to Dustin Poirier's charity if he would go to Dublin and fight Conor McGregor. Conor offered to pay his entire family expenses traveling to Dublin to put on this charity event. And it really is throwing, kind of shade at the UFC again, because we know that the UFC has been trying to book Dustin Poirier and they just simply won't give him what I'm assuming, since $500,000 was thrown out, what Poirier was asking for.
So why is it that Conor just doesn't go ahead and create his own fighting promotion?
Because
It's coming. It's coming, player.
I think it is coming. I think it's coming, but I think that he has hundreds of millions, but he doesn't have billions.
Yet.
Yet.
We just keep paying for these fights, and soon enough.
No, get this Manny Pacquiao fight, and I guarantee it's coming.
I'm pretty sure that if Conor sat there and said, "All right, I need investors for this fight promotion. Who's in?"
Yeah.
And I think I think he would have a good chance.
Well, he's pretty good friends with the Fertitta brothers, so they had a nice check written to them from WMI or
WME.
ING, yeah.
Yeah. So they if I was him, I'd be calling up my friend Lorenzo.
Yeah. All right. So that's an interesting one. DC trolling John Bones Jones. So
What?
of course,
Drink.
I see. I knew you. It's in the run sheet. That's why at the beginning y'all were like, "Oh, John is bringing up John Jones again." It's like, no, it's in the run sheet. So I think it was today, after John Jones watched the Dominick Reyes fight against Jan Blachowicz. John Jones says, should I come back and get my belt back? And the fans got all excited. And so Daniel Cormier called out John Jones today and said, well, that's odd. You wouldn't fight Dominick Reyes again, even though that was the next fight for you. But the moment you're gone, Dominick Reyes gets knocked out. Now you're talking about bringing your belt back? Perhaps you were running.
Thank you.
Whatever.
Coming from the jilted lover. Thank you.
That's what I said. Coming from the jilted lover. And everyone that John Jones has fought twice, he decimated them the second time.
But he ran scared. I'll say it. He ran scared.
I disagree.
Because I'm sorry. So let me get this straight. All right. They said, okay, you're getting ready to fight Dominick Reyes. All of a sudden, you're like, I think I'm gonna go. He bores me. I'm going to go to heavyweight. And then Jean goes in there, makes short work of him, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh, maybe I should come back. That's running scared. Okay, you said you're going heavyweight. Stay
Y'all don't
heavyweight.
forget, John Jones was like, hey, UFC, you need to pay me more. Like, y'all not paying me McGregor money. Hell, y'all not paying me Khabib money. Y'all not paying me.
Believe me.
Y'all not paying me the money I deserve. And I've given you the prime years of my life. Undefeated, standing here still strong. I don't know how many years later.
Pictograms,
Dealt with jail, dealt with pictograms, dealt with DC twice. Actually, 3 times now, right? Am I wrong?
Well, he skipped. He missed the second.
Oh, we're gonna see the trilogy at heavyweight.
Yeah.
Another reason why DC is probably talking this.
Yes, we are.
So
told you.
On top of that, I've defended against Alex twice. Who else did he fight twice?
He's only fought Alex Gustafsson twice and Daniel Cormier twice. Everyone else once.
Both times he had a rematch against a guy. He really put the stamp on the initial win.
They finished him.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you think the same thing wouldn't happen with Dominick?
Then why not just go ahead and do it?
Because you're not paying me. You're not paying me, John.
Then you cannot.
I need more money.
You cannot sit there then and say I'm coming back. I should come back to 205.
You can say that
because
you're trolling.
Guess what you're gonna do if I come back to 205? Because I know, because I've already wet your lips at heavyweight.
I don't see it. I don't. I'm not even gonna touch that. Not touch it. I'm gonna bypass that and just
I'm just saying. I know what you're willing to do now that I've threatened a heavyweight move. You will pay me for light heavyweight.
What? I don't think so. I don't think Dana and the Fertitta brothers are gonna do that. They want him to stay at heavyweight. Anymore. Them two. And I mean, it's just like I don't see them wanting him to go back to 205. Even though if he was to go back to 205, if I was Dana, I was like, yeah, you can come back as soon as you beat Reyes. Prove to the world.
Say he needs to take a filler fight first.
Yep.
No, because in the post-fight press conference, Dana White said that if John Jones, that the next fight for Jan Blachowicz is Thiago Santos, but if John Jones came back, he would schedule that fight. That's what he said. Dana White said it. So it's. I think it's fair to say that DC may have a point.
Oh my goodness!
Oh,
right, you are jumping on that train.
Well, so before we go down there, I just want to interject that there's a very good chance that we are taking a flippant tweet meant to just agitate a crowd and drum up more interest in what he's currently doing. And we may be adding another layer of analysis that he didn't even think through. Because
we know he likes stealing the shine after a guy wins.
Exactly.
Second UFC main event where he's done that.
That's exactly right. This is less of a strategic John Jones. Like, let's be honest, John Jones isn't strategic on Twitter. Like, he fires stuff off. And so, like, of all the things that he talked about, he's responding to fans and other fighters saying that, he's running scared. He's also responding to who was Jan saying. Jan said that John was running scared, and John Jones responds with, "I was taking months off to gain weight running scared." Like, in the context of it all, this isn't a well-calculated John Jones. This is a guy who's drinking while watching UFC and responding just like any of us would, just firing off dumb stuff without thought of how it's going to land.
Now, I actually tweeted back to John Jones after he posted that.
Oh.
And you know what he said to me? Nothing. I don't even think he saw my... But let me tell you what I said. Let me tell you what I said. I said, I absolutely think he should come back, but don't fight for the title. Do it as an exhibition. Because if you do it as an exhibition, you go in there, and if you beat Jan Blachowicz, you don't have to take the belt. You don't have to defend the belt. But now you've poisoned the well for every champion in the light heavyweight. Because everyone will be like, well, Jan, you're not really the champ because you lost to John Jones, but you're carrying the belt. You have to defend it. If Jan loses, they'll be like, well, you beat Jan, but you're still not the champ until you beat John Jones. So you could have the entire light heavyweight division chasing you to legitimize their claim on the belt just by beating Jan Blachowicz in an exhibition fight that doesn't mean anything.
That is the ultimate troll move right there. That is the ultimate.
From the mines of Rhinolta. Man, you don't get that. Man, did none of y'all get that reference?
Nope.
George?
Dude, I'm too busy looking at Stylebender's latest post on Instagram.
All right.
Literally, he has posted a video of Paulo Costa in training, apparently. I think it's a joke to some degree, but when you guys get a chance, you need to go watch this.
Is he being trained by Josh Fabian?
So apparently during training, Paula hired a guy to look like Izzy run around the cage.
Yeah.
This guy had, I guess, what would you call it? Dyed hair, the whole nine. Mm-hmm. And Paula's just beating this guy. Have y'all seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Familiar? You have seen it, Ryan?
Yeah.
So yeah,
It came out. It came out before the fight. So yeah, it was one of those things where he was trolling Israel Adesanya, saying that Israel Adesanya runs, and so this is what he was going to do to Izzy running. Let's go ahead and go to the fight card. All right, this is the fight card. This is where we look at the fights that are coming up this weekend. UFC Fight Island 4, Holm versus Aldana, Saturdays, October 3rd, 2020, at the Flash Forum and Fight Island in Abu Dhabi, UAE. We've got 5 fights on the card. First fight is Dusko Todorovic versus Dequan Townsend. Second fight is Tom Breeze versus KB Bular. Fight I'm excited about is Jermaine Durandamy versus Juliana Pena. I spoke about this on Saturday night. Juliana Pena was an up-and-comer on the Ultimate Fighter under the tutelage of Miesha Tate. Then she got injured, and she's having to work her way back. Jorgen De Castro versus Carlos Felipe. And then finally, the main event of the evening, Holly Holm versus Irene Aldana. So we're going to make flash fight picks. I'd like for us to do, let's do Jermaine Durandamy versus Juliana Pena. We'll start with you, George. Who you got?
I'm going with Durandamy.
Okay. Very cool. Kelechi.
I'm taking an uneducated guess here and going with Coach. It's just been a while since I've seen these two.
All right. And then John Keys.
Likewise, I'm gonna go with Durandamy, just on history's sake. I haven't seen any fights in her.
Fellas,
wow.
Don't get me wrong though. Juliana Pena is a game opponent. Like she's definitely in title contention even now. She's been off now for how long, Ryan? Like a
Very
year,
long.
2 years?
Maybe even longer than that, because I think she got injured. She was fighting and she was making her way up the ladder, and then in training, some jerk of a guy in their camp got a little bit too rough with her, blew out her ACL, her MCL, and her LCL.
I remember that now. I remember that. Yeah.
And so then after that, she ended up having a baby, and so she did the mother thing for a while. So she's kind of had a lot of life things going on, but she's now getting back in the ring. She's also done a little commentary, I think with Invicta perhaps, or another one of these promotions that that feature women fighters. But she's coming back, and I think it's a great opportunity for her to see how well she matches up against someone like Jermaine Durandamy. But for me, I like the known entity of Jermaine Durandamy.
That's a big task for her stepping in right back in against Jermaine. She literally is being tossed out to the wolves just to see how she'll do. Yeah. And that's why I'm going with Jermaine on this. Yeah. And then on top of that, Jermaine's a very, what's the word? I wouldn't call her a less than moral fighter, but she has no scruples when it comes to late hits, firing off at places that other fighters wouldn't. And I would expect Jermaine is going to target that knee.
Oh wow! We're gonna watch that.
Sweep the leg.
All right, in the co-main.
It's what I would advise my fighter to do. It's what I would do if I was fighting this person.
God!
Wow! I did not characterize you that way.
I'm not gonna play with you, Juliana. I know what you're capable of. We're gonna get you out of here in the first round, player.
Dang. There you have it.
Coach plays no games.
On the vigilante side of the game.
John Key says it. If you step into the ring, you're saying you are fit to fight. We're going to find out how fit you are to fight.
Hey, I love it.
Nobody said anything about Izzy going after Paula's leg. We all saw the cupping whelps on his legs. You knew that's a recovery thing. That tells me that he was trying, for whatever reason, to help his leg heal from something. And what did Izzy do? Leg kick city.
He wore it out, and I was applauding his brutality on it. So.
All right.
I think we're going to see Jermaine Durandamy go after that knee somehow, some way, some shape, some form, some fashion.
All right. Yorgan De Castro versus Carlos Felipe. John, who you got?
Come back to me and I'll tell you.
What, you want to wait till the weigh-ins to the face-off?
Yeah, I'm still. It's kind of hard to type Yorgan De Castro with two fingers here.
I remember Yorgan facing Walt Harris not too long ago, and he also fought against who's the NFL player that's in the league now?
Greg Hardy.
Greg Hardy.
Didn't he have a fight against him as well?
I don't know if he did or not, but Yorgan De Castro won, I think, his last fight against someone that we did not think he was going to win.
He's a pretty game opponent.
Yeah.
I want to say I think he fought. I don't know why I can't remember the guy's name. You just said it. The NFL player.
Greg Hardy.
Greg Hardy. He lost against him.
Greg Hardy. My apologies, Greg. Do not come at me with the smoke. But from what I've seen of Yorgan, man, I'm not familiar with Carlos Felipe. I'm rolling with Yorgan on this one, bro.
Okay. Yeah, I would roll with Yorgan as well because he's only lost once, and it was against Greg Hardy, and it was decision. Everything else, he's knocking people out. He's only had one other unanimous decision that he won, but the rest of them have been KOs and TKOs.
Yeah, and Carlos Felipe hasn't been in the league for very long. His looks like his only fight was against Sergey Spivak, where he lost via majority decision. So I'm gonna go with Yorgan De Castro as well. Colette, you gonna jump on this train, or you gonna defy the odds?
I would dissent just because I don't believe in choosing the same fighter as you for personal reasons.
Well, I was gonna say, hey, see, before you go there, I just want to remind you, they are main eventing Yorgan. Or not main event, co-main eventing him. So that speaks volumes when the UFC says, you know what, we're gonna let you co-main behind Holly. And nobody knows Carlos Felipe.
Yep.
That's a fact. I regret my decision, but it's my decision.
And I appreciate that. In the main event of the evening, Holly Holm versus Irene Aldana. Who you got, Coach?
This one is hard, man, because from what I understand, I haven't seen Irene fight. I know she beat what's the girl that just won this past week, Ketlin Vieira.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And from what I understand, Irene is like a 19-time world champion in boxing.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
So this one is hard because Holly as well is a top-notch boxer. I'm going to go with Holly just off the fact that Holly has been in these positions where she's been the main event in the UFC, multiple times before, as opposed to Irene, I think. But Irene's been on a tear, from what I understand.
Yes.
But I'm rolling with Holly. I think she gets it done and finishes Irene.
All right, KC.
And keep that drop handy because I get the feeling my co-hosts here are finna bet against me, and I want this crow button ready next week.
I will have it ready.
I'm torn on Holly. Like,
see that?
I'm torn on that one just because she can show up different from fight to fight. And I don't know how much more she's got left to advance. So I think we've seen what we're going to see.
Holly old? What's going on? Like, how old is Holly, y'all?
38.
She's quite old, though. Let's be for real, because her long boxing career and then trying to transition to MMA, like, I don't think that she's old for a fighter. I think she's just been in this game
career.
Yeah. So, yeah, I got to stick with you on this one, Coach.
All right, John.
All right, so comparing the last 6 fights between each fighter here, thank you for stalling everybody. Holly Holm's been 50-50. She's won 3, she's lost 3. Irene is only lost 1 in the last 6.
Those 3 that Holly lost were against who?
Monsters.
Amanda Nunes, Cyborg, and Jermaine Durandamy.
Yes, monsters. Okay.
Just reminding you of that. Y'all must have forgot.
And Valentina Shevchenko.
That's 7. Yeah, she did lose that. Actually, she had a skid there where she lost to Misha Tate, then Valentina Shevchenko, and then Jermaine Durandamy. So the only time she's getting beat is by monsters, literally. I'm gonna look to Holly Holm to have the experience of being in the main event. I think that's gonna be our saving grace. I think this is the first time for Irene being at the Super Bowl, so she might have a little bit of an adrenaline dump. So it might not be her night. So I'm going for Holly Holm.
Not her first time at the Super Bowl, but UFC wise, it's like what I mean. Don't get me wrong. Irene is game.
Oh, Irene's his champ. Has had championships. Okay, but they were not UFC championships. Mm-hmm. That's what I tell people. She's Invicta. She's former Invicta bantamweight champion. Okay, guess what? Not UFC.
I'm just saying, man. Don't underestimate some of these cats coming out of different leagues and having done different things. And the other thing you got to remember is, like, Irene has been in the UFC now for 4-5 years. So even though it's, her first time really main eventing something, still she's. I wouldn't sleep on her, but I think Holly's going to pull this one out.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Holly Holm too. Holm too. It's just one of those things where I respect the talent that Holly Holm has faced. Really, and George looked at me sideways whenever I said it on Saturday night. I think that if you want to get Holly Holm out, you're gonna have to bring her to the ground and wrestle with her. If you're gonna just stand and bang with Holly Holm, you're gonna have problems. And so I don't see Irene Aldana taking Holly Holm to the ground and making this a grappling or a wrestling match. So in that case, I like Holly Holm. She's just so big and so strong that I don't think that Irene is going to be physically able to deal with Holly Holm's strength, her cardio, and the experience that she brings to the ring. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. Follow us on social media on Instagram, I am at Combat Sports Talk.
I am at Keys to Victory, and that's Keys with an ES.
KC.
I am at Push Pull Pray on Instagram.
And George.
Just find me, y'all. Just find me. Darkside _ Muay Thai _.
Well, see, I got it updated on the run sheet. It's updated now.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
Look at that. I did
All
that
right.
for you. You can find us on our
I
website.
appreciate that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You can find us on our website at www.combatsportstalk.com or any of your favorite podcasting platforms, which is what we have listed up here. Shout out to MMA Junkie, MMA Fighting, MMA Mania, Bloody Elbow, and the Intelligent Defense Discussion Group. All the other sites where we get our stories for the show and where a lot of the discussions happen on that Intelligent Defense Discussion Group. On behalf of John Keys, George G-Money Stallworth, and Kelechi Onyebuchi, I am Ryan Smith, reminding you to keep your hands up, your chin tucked, and throw bombs. We'll catch you next time.